My name is Nassine Sabs.
Let me ask you a question. Has anything ever happened to you that you couldn't explain? That made you feel sort of foolish when you tried to tell somebody about it? Well, if it has, you have plenty of company, as you'll soon see.
What does she look like when she shapeshifts at these rituals?
She has, she looks like the nose portion gets very much longer and it grows into kind of a snout kind of thing. She has fangs and incisors as teeth, and there's a tongue. And they all seem to have this kind of tongue when they're at this level. The tongue has a lot of long, hairy or pointed projections coming out of it. It's very long. And they have these, they don't have hands or feet, they have these claws. And they have scales and also scales that seem to kind of disappear into one another, but it's more pronounced on the back. There seem to be lumps or protrusions coming from the head. There seem to be some kind of growth appendages at where, on the back. And they seem folded, and not all of them have that. And there is a tail, and they a lot of times will keep the tail curled. And and I've seen her when she's very displeased with something, as I've seen other members like this. This tail is whipped around. Very agitated, and they do, and she hisses.
What color are they?
Which one in particular?
Take the Queen Mother as an example.
She's kind of a beige color on the underside, and by the time you're going up around to the back and the tail and the top of the head and on top of the nose, snout, whatever, it's coming to a very, they're dark speckles or large speckles of dark browns. And the eyes, usually, they're large, they look like, they're very round, and they look like they're coming out of their socket, and very protruding. And usually the color ranges from a beige to a gold to a dark greenish gold, and then there's this dark slit up and down, a vertical slit. And and the eyes will look hooded. And when they look hooded, it's a very frightening thing, because it seems that when the eyes are hooded, they're about to do something.
What do you mean by hooded?
The lids come down, and it's almost, I guess it would be the same thing in a human as an expression of someone's got an idea.
I'm not God and can tell you which ones they are. But God tells us that we better have that full armor of God on so that you can stand against the wiles of the devil, and that's the lies of the devil, his schemes. And I hate to keep pressing on the full armor, but as I was teaching Sam about it just a few days ago is when I got the total revelation of it. It is one of the most important things that we need to know at this time and age now, that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. And when he says principalities and powers, there's demons that have principalities over entire areas. And the powers are the smaller demons that work for the bigger ones. And they have a chain of command. And the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness in high places are the reptilians. I knew this then. I knew this then. Yeah, I've seen one I told Paul about. In less than 15 seconds, this thing shape-shifted into about 50 or 60 people that I knew, that quick. From one to the next. Huh? Well, he came out, and I had been asking my commander for a long time, and now the one commander that I had was like me. He was scared to death, and he was just doing his job, and we were all really wanting to get it over with and leave. You know, we couldn't wait to get out. And I kept telling him, I said, look, you know, I've seen them shape-shift and stuff, but how quick can they do this? He goes, well, and on the bottom level is a cryogenic lab and failed experiments. There are people down there that have hoofs like a goat and wings, and these people are banging on the glass, begging me to let them out, and crying because, you know, and I was told they don't have a soul, but I don't believe that, because I felt compassion kind of for these people. It was like they were experimented on and they were locked up because it failed. But we went to one, and he goes, bring all your guys down there because this thing's going to shapeshift for you and show you how fast they can do it. And he says, I don't want to hear no more about it. And we're leaving immediately after he does it. So we got him down there, and it took about an hour and a half, 2 hours to coax him into doing it because he was being defiant. And he looked like a regular guy. And then all of a sudden his eyes turned into slits, and he had a forked tongue, and I thought, here it comes. And he goes, show him how many people that he knows. Now this guy shape-shifted, or this entity shape-shifted, no lie, into 50 or 60 people that I knew from my childhood to my adulthood, including my mother and my father, in 15 seconds. I couldn't believe it. So I thought to myself, how do I know when I shoot somebody if it's really them? I mean, if it's one of these or if it's really the person? And this is his very words. You'll know him by the way you feel. He said, you feel that heaviness and that coldness? And I go, yeah. He goes, whenever you feel that, you're amongst a liar. And I was so confused. I was so confused. Huh?
You said they went into animal form, too.
Yeah, they go into animal form. And, you know, there's Bigfoots and stuff people see. You know why they've never captured one? You think they would after all the millions that have been spotted. It's because they're interdimensional. They aren't physical until they attack. And by the time that something attacks you, you're already dead and gone. It's interdimensional. And pretty soon, these ghost chasers and all the stuff that you see on TV, somebody's going to get attacked and slaughtered right in front of the camera. And then they're instantly going to be gone. We were sent in New Mexico? No, I'm sorry, it was Colorado. And I don't know if you ever heard of the Grand Mesa up there. It's the largest flat top mountain in the world, and it has all these lakes, and the snow is about 3 foot deep, and they told us that something had escaped and that we needed to retrieve it. And in the middle of the snowpack were footprints from nowhere that started from nowhere and ended nowhere. They started and they ended with no trail going in or no trail going out. I said, I'm done. I said, we're returning the team because how do you capture something like that? And so they came to the realization that I was right and called us back. The thing shape-shifted in the middle of the snow, walked a certain amount of way, and vanished. So there was a set of footprints that started from nowhere and ended nowhere. I was just flabbergasted when I seen that. And they were all over the place. And one of the reasons they were wanting us up there is because 3 people were missing, and they had found one that was murdered, and they chalked it off to a serial killer, but we all knew different. So when I got back well, before I left, we had to go to Colorado Springs to an office there to write our reports. And while we were there, the press was waiting on us because they thought we were hunting a serial killer. And I had to lie through my teeth and tell them that we killed the serial killer, and the 3 people that are missing we didn't find, but we found one, and he was mutilated. And we left it at that. But it was a lie. It was an entity that had escaped that was rogue and was doing his own thing. And the footprints that he left looked just like a Bigfoot. And then there was another spot that looked like a horse or hoofs that started from nowhere and ended nowhere. And I knew right then that we were in trouble. And at the time, I was the highest ranking, I was lieutenant colonel, so I was the highest ranking man out there, and I called off the mission. And then when I called into CENTCOM and told them that they knew what I was saying, I said, it's tense and confusing. It was kind of a code. And they said, well, what do you think? Are you going to be able to recover it? And I go, absolutely not. We're not going to be able to recover it. And so when I got back, I had to write a lie on the report for the Colorado Springs police and the Grand Junction police, because Grand Junction was right next to the Grand Mesa. And so we lied there. And when we got back to the base, the first thing that my commander said, it was interdimensional, wasn't it? And I go, yes, sir, it was. He goes, okay, just forget about it and go back to what you were doing. So how do you see something like that and then just go back about your business without being halfway frightened out of your mind?